Hello everyone and welcome to the second, but technically the first proper actual episode of WrestleChats. I'm Daniel Lambley, Lamco64 on Twitter, and here we have Gazz, it's me GTW on Twitter. We're back again for another episode of us talking about wrestling, because white guys talk about wrestling on YouTube, and that's what we're bringing to you.
That's really the only industry that we have left.
That's all we've got now,
isn't it? We used to make steel and girders and like battleships.
Yeah.
And now really all we've got is talking about wrestling on YouTube.
Hey, it's fine. Let's push forward with the industry we have left. It's all we're fit to do at this point, guys. That's all we've got. Yeah. So we'll start off as we did last time. First of all, not wrestling related. Have you been watching any movies? You've been playing any video games? Have you been watching any series? Anything like that? What have you been up to?
What have I been doing? I'll tell you something. I've just not been doing anything. We finished Downton. So
oh no! Oh
watched
no!
all the Downton now.
Oh dear!
I'll tell you one thing. I know you haven't seen it, but it's possible that other people have seen it. Something that really fucks me off about Downton Abbey is that they set up all these story threads and then they don't pay them off at all, ever. So
is it like the WWE of...
It's fucking ridiculous. I think maybe that's why it makes me so angry. But they're like, someone will go, oh, you've got to go to trial and be a witness for the man who tried to murder you. And they go, oh, I don't know whether I can. I don't know if I can face him in the docks. And then 3 episodes of that. And then they get to the trial, and they're like, oh, he's pled guilty, you don't have to do the trial now, might as well go back. and then that's it.
And then just act like it never happened.
And some things don't even get that far. They're just not mentioned again.
Well, I mean...
It properly winds me up.
Again, you know, if you're expecting like quality writing from the Downton Abbey team, then maybe you're just looking in the wrong places.
A lot of money gets spent on it, that's what I'm saying. Just don't start things if you don't intend to finish things.
Take note,
all I want
Vince
out of
McMahon.
Yeah, that's all I want out of all forms of entertainment, just a full narrative. Should not be that difficult.
So you did all the Downton, no movies, nothing like that?
No, I watched Zombieland 2.
That's a decent watch, that. Not bad. Not as good as the first.
It was ironically very lifeless.
It was weird, wasn't it?
It's just nothing to it.
Yeah, it was like they waited all that time to do the sequel. And it's like,
and they might as well have fucking not bothered.
It's like they never had an idea for it, but they felt contractually obligated to do it somehow.
Well, someone said, do you want to do another one for the 10th year? And they went, I suppose we could do.
Yeah, alright then.
What would it be about? Fuck knows.
Didn't they shoot a pilot for the series of that? They made a whole series of it, didn't they? Or they started to, at least, and then that got canned.
They did at least a pilot. I don't think I saw it. I don't think it ever came out.
I think it was all the same characters in the movie, just recast with different people, wasn't it?
Yes, just much less famous people.
Yeah, let's not do that. I have been playing just really old video games, as I want to do. I've been playing Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles mixed together, because basically it's Sonic 3 and Knuckles together is basically what Sonic 3 should have been. But they ran out of time to make it, so they went, oh, just put out the first bit, and then we'll put the second bit on the next thing. And you have to use that weird lock-on cartridge.
Oh,
and put the one on top of it, yeah. But,
that's what DLC used to be. Go out and buy a physical new plastic plug, and that would have some more game in
it. Yeah, and it was actually quite a lot of game. It wasn't like, horse armour or, whatever stupid shit they sell you these days. And then last night, after seeing the Red Letter Media review of it, me and the wife watched Malignant, the new James Wan horror movie.
It's not my sort of thing, that.
I mean, I'm not the biggest horror fan in the world, but I saw them review it, and the way they described it was, they basically said it was like, they couldn't tell whether or not it was absolute horseshit or the most genius thing they've ever seen in their whole lives. And I'm gonna, having watched it now, say it's like The Room, but for horror movies.
Every horror movie is The Room for horror movies.
It's the most terrible acting. It might be the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life, and that is not hyperbole. It is beyond ridiculous. The acting is wooden and stilted at best. So when it's like
even by horror standards.
Oh, even by horror standards, yeah, it's like a daytime melodrama, like American soap opera level acting. James Wan wrote it with his new wife, who's like way younger than he is, and is also in the movie because of course she is.
Weird.
And
because that's
the woman that she plays is a forensic scientist who has a crush on the part American, part Asian detective guy because they wrote it. Yeah, there you go. But the end of the movie, the last like sort of 30 minutes of the movie, is like a fever dream. I can't even begin to describe just how stupid it is. There's like anyway, spoilers because you're probably never going to watch it anyway. But there's like this weird creature thing she had a conjoined twin. And they removed most of it. It was like this weird Quato thing living on the back.
Excellent.
And they removed a big chunk of it, but left a bunch of it in there. But then the face of it comes back out again, but it's like her arms twist backwards. So like this thing is looking this way, her arms are twisted backwards, and it looks so hilarious. Unintentionally hilarious for this backwards thing to be going around stabbing everybody in like Matrix styles. It's just bizarre. So,
like Voldemort.
Well, yeah, like that.
Remember? With the
yes.
Mick Foley bump?
He was almost broken in half.
Can't help himself.
Yes. So yeah, that's what I've been up to this week. Nothing else really. Just standard. Same old shit. So we will, as always, every week we will cover the shit that we actually watch. That being mostly AEW, and occasionally other things. This week, pretty much AEW on my side. Was it same in yours?
Yes, but I did watch the first 2/3 of NXT 2.0, the new NXT, the new batch, live from the home of NXT. Which is its full official.
I was going to say, is that what they're calling it? Yeah. NXT
so I have watched
2.0.
an amount of that.
Okay.
So I can.
Well, we'll go through Dynamite and Rampage first, and then you can give us your...
the stuff we actually watched, and then I can do
about.
30 seconds on the new NXT, and then we'll just move on.
Okay. Dynamite this week started with Punk coming out, just because he was on commentary. Gets the crowd all riled up, got no problems with that. He's still over his balls. Surprise, surprise.
It was weird, because when he came out on his first Dynamite, it felt like the crowd reaction was much, much less than it was for Rampage.
Oh, you think?
If you go back and watch it, his Rampage one obviously was fucking massive.
Yeah.
And then when he comes out on Dynamite, it just feels like half that.
I think a lot of it is the sound quality, the way they pick up the crowd noise and the music and stuff is a bit off, and it always has been for a long time now. So that might be part of it.
It's got better. Like when he come out on Dynamite this week, it was much, much better. And the reactions for everyone were, people that got reactions anyway, were a similar sort of level.
Yeah.
So either they've fixed the sound, or the people that were on Punk's first Dynamite just didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, that crowd was shit though, wasn't it? You remember that?
Yeah, they just couldn't give a fuck about anything.
You were well critical of them.
crowd.
Yeah.
A crowd that comes in that doesn't like wrestling and doesn't understand it.
Well, I'm not impressed, so fuck you. Okay, yeah, so he came out, he jumped into the crowd again, came back out. But, he was very good on commentary all night, I thought. But then the same was true back in the day when he did it in WWE as well. I don't know if you saw that way back when. But yeah, he was good. He's good at getting stuff over that's, nothing to do with him. Brings up really valid points when the actual wrestling's happening as well. I thought he did really good on commentary. Opening match, Adam Cole versus the Elite Hunter Kazarian.
Yeah.
Which we went over last episode, I believe, a little bit of that. Decent match.
Elite Hunter, once again, fails to
hunt any of the Elite.
Yeah.
I mean, he turned up to the match. He knew where one of the Elite was going to be. He at the very least attempted to hunt Elite.
But that's not hunting. Like, if you catch a bus, you haven't successfully hunted the bus. You just went to where you knew the bus was going to be at the time you knew it was going to be there.
Episode 1, Hunt for a Bus.
He's the bus catcher, Frankie Kazarian.
Excellent. Decent match.
It was good.
Good. I mean, there was never any
shame.
doubt who was winning it, obviously.
Yeah, and that's my problem with a lot of AEW TV matches and a lot of AEW pay-per-view matches is I know who's definitely going to win them the moment they're announced.
The thing I'll say about that is that even though you know who's going to win and you know where it's going, I think that's more because it's just logical storytelling. So a lot of the time with other stuff that you watch, you can see where it's going, but it doesn't necessarily disappoint you when it goes that way because you're like, oh, okay, that paid that off and that sort of thing. The way that they do AEW is they do a lot of these sort of matches where they put somebody in there to take a loss, basically. They have a lot of that expendable talent on there, and they know who the stars are, and they know who the lesser ones are.
For Christian as well. When Christian came in, was his first match. That's what he's for.
Good hand, yeah, exactly, and he knows that, and he's on the older side of things. Kazarian's not going to be the world champion anytime soon, or the TNT champion. He had a good run as well as the initial tag champs with Christopher Daniels and all that. But he played his part perfectly. Adam Cole is, he's over his balls. Let's put that point out right away. Super over. He got the win fairly decisively. He had to mount a bit of a comeback against Kazarian, but I gave that 3 stars. Decent.
I have absolutely no idea what I gave it.
And then after that, it's story time with Adam Cole, baby. Cole announces that him and the Bucks are going to take on Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. Now, this was my first point of confusion during this, because call me nuts, but I had absolutely no idea that the Arthur Ashe shows were shows. I honestly thought it was one. I thought it was just Dynamite. And then when he said, I was like, oh, he's got that wrong there. That's weird. Why would he call it Grand Slam Rampage? It's like, it's not, it's that Dynamite. But then obviously they went, on Rampage next week it's going to be 2 hours and all that, which they announced later on in the show. I had no idea about that, so that was a nice little surprise. Next week, which I'm sure we'll go over in a bit, is stacked.
They are throwing a lot of shit at the wall. And this is stuff that they should have... I see why they didn't, because it was before the pay-per-view, but... Nice. That Dynamite after Punk's return...
Yes.
Was just... Well, I think we talked about it before, but it was just piss weak.
It was a little bit weak,
They've gotten better as the weeks have gone on,
mm-hmm.
but you've already lost all those people. So it doesn't make any difference doing a big fat Grand Slam now, because you're just going to be doing it to the same people that were watching it anyway.
I mean, I'll say this much in terms of the ratings. I mean, they have gradually increased ever since he turned up. Even though you say, obviously, I bet you there's probably are going to be a bunch of them who watched it the week after and were like, well, this isn't for me. I mean, but comparatively, you look at AEW Dynamite and you look at Raw, like people are watching that. I mean, can you imagine going from, I've been watching Raw every day for the past 20, 25 years or whatever, and then they go and watch that at this point, they're probably going to be pretty jazzed about it, to be honest, comparatively. I would say anyway. But people like us, who are into the wrestling side of it, who haven't checked out AEW yet, might enjoy it. But there we go. Okay, so what did we have after that? They announced that. This is Gaz's favourite segment of the week was Sammy Guevara and El Fuego del Sol were in the back, and Fuego challenges Miro for Rampage and puts his car on the line in some WCW 1992 nonsense.
Didn't mean anything.
No.
It meant nothing.
It meant absolutely nothing.
He didn't put his mask on the line, and he didn't put his contract. He didn't put anything that we had already recognised that he gave a shit about on the line. He was just sat on a car
that he just bought, apparently.
See this car? This car's mine. Anyway, you can have it if you beat me. And we'll come on to it later about why that was really irritating. But I don't know that he cares about that car. So why should I give a shit that he's putting the car up? Doesn't make any difference. It's unnecessary.
I like it. It reminded me of something that Chad Too Bad would do.
Yeah.
I'll put my
Sex Ferguson.
I put my Honda Cougar Falkenberg on the line against, and also $2,500 in cash, just a really small amount.
If, like, when, like, if Eddie Guerrero had put his car on the line, because he'd come out in that car, and he was synonymous with having a car. But like Fuego del Sol was like, check this car out you've never seen me with before. Anyway, if I lose, you can have it. I swear to you that it's very important to me.
If anything, it comes across that he doesn't give a shit about the car.
Yeah.
I just bought it, but I'm quite happy to just give it away to you if I lose.
I got super confused this week, and I got put right by a couple of people. I thought that the TNT title was part of the ranking system because they show it on the men's singles rankings graphic.
Oh, is it not?
And it's not, no.
Ah, is it just for the world title, the rankings, is it then? Or?
Yeah, and the TNT title functions outside of the rankings, which is why Miro has never faced anyone ranked for the title ever.
Okay, well that makes a bit more sense then.
It's open challenge, it's just sort of open to anyone, so you don't have to be ranked to go for it. But I think that the fact that I didn't know that, and you didn't know that, means that they haven't really explained it very well.
Them putting the two singles champions the way that they do when they put out that rankings thing makes it look like, oh, okay, so all these ranked people here, they can challenge for any one of those titles. But that not being the case, they ought to just move that to the side and say, not part of ranked competition underneath it or something like that. I don't know.
When I've ever looked at that, I thought to myself, if you're at the top, currently Orange Cassidy is number 1 ranked. So he would be going for Kenny because he's number 1. But there's someone underneath him who's number 2, who's very, very good, but not as good as number 1, and he can go for the TNT title because number 1 ranked is going for the other one.
That makes sense.
But no, apparently no. You just, whatever, turn up, say that he can have your car, wrestle him.
I mean, interesting, good to know. But like I say, that does make things make more sense in a way.
Yeah.
But also less sense with other things. So
just because it's not been made clear at all that was the case.
Yeah.
And I looked it up to see if anyone had ever said whether it was in the rankings or not. And I found 2 interviews, one with Tony Khan where he said that it was, and then one 2 days later with Cody where he said that it wasn't. So it's not been, unless like they fully explained it on Sammy's vlog.
Which you don't watch.
See it.
Yeah.
No, I haven't got the time. I haven't got the time to watch Sammy's vlog and Eva Luno's vlog and Ethan Page's vlog and BTE and Dark Elevation. I've got a job. I've got other stuff to be at. I'm not like super busy, but I haven't got 17 hours a week to watch everyone's personal vlogs to understand what's going on. Tell me on the television.
I had a theory about before Dynamite even started, that when they started their weekly wrestling program, which they were saying was coming when they first started up and all that, that because it was made popular off the back of being the Elite, I thought what they would do is they'd give every faction or every talent or whatever their own vlog thing that they would film throughout the week, and then that TV program would be basically an edited down version of all of the content that those people created, like a sort of hybrid wrestling / being the Elite show. Yeah. They didn't do that. Obviously, it's a lot more on the traditional side, but I
fucking hated that.
You would have not been about that at all. No.
No.
Probably a good job they didn't do that then. So that backstage segment happened. Then we get MJF coming out to the ring. Just a black hole absorbing all of the heat that anyone has ever had, all of the anger in the entire world, seemingly centered on MJF.
What was super ludicrous about that was that MJF come out, and with 2 things actually. He came out and he cut a mega heel promo on everyone in the world, and he was slagging off Aunt Linda, and Aunt Linda was smiling her head off.
Yeah.
He was calling her a bitch, and she was like, "Hey, I'm on the telly." And then Brian Pillman came out to defend his family, and he stood at the top of the ramp smiling and waving at people.
Yeah.
And then he cut a promo, and then he left again.
He did.
Like, but do you not want to... I thought you came out because he was slagging you, the woman who raised you off. He was slagging her off just now. I don't know if you heard.
He just challenged him to a match, didn't he? He said, I'll challenge you.
Well, let's have a match then.
Yeah.
And MJF went, yeah, sound, yeah.
And then he left.
He didn't. And then he left. He didn't react to the heat at all. So he just pulled the plug out.
It's a bit odd. They have like say,
Weird.
and then he went like last week. He got his ass handed to him. They teased the whole dissension with a Wardlow thing because he mouthed up to Wardlow, and Wardlow was taking his sweet time getting him, which I quite liked. But MJF made him look like his. MJF made him look like his bitch last week, and this week he didn't actually even go and fight him. So yeah, bit odd. But then him leaving, he came out for an in-ring segment. I remember you pointing this out, and then he went back, and then they cut to an interview segment with JR with Brian Pillman again.
They did it twice on that show.
Yeah.
Where they cut from a guy, in this case Brian Pillman,
in the ring,
and then they cut to the very next segment, which was the same guy.
Yeah.
So can he not have cut that promo in the ring when he was out there still?
If anything, switch it. It breaks up those in-ring segments a little bit as well. If you just put the interview segment with JR at the beginning of that segment, MJF comes out, runs his mouth. You know exactly who he's been talking about because of the segment that was on beforehand. And then here he comes by challenge you to a match. That would have made that whole thing a little bit more balanced, obviously.
He came out, and then he was in the ring still, and they cut to a backstage interview segment, pre-taped of him with JR. He's still stood in the fucking ring. So the crowd are watching him talk to JR as he walks up the ramp.
Yeah, weird.
And that is weird. They did it later on with
Daniel
Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
And they just cut from two segments that were him.
Yeah.
It's like now to AEW, and they've not done it for a little while, but they book the same segment on the same show.
Yeah.
Before Tony Khan fully took over the booking, where everyone was booking their own little bits.
Yeah.
People would book the same, they'd come out and there'd be a pull-apart brawl, and then half an hour later, that exact same thing would happen, just with some different people. But now they're booking the exact same segment. So promo Brian Danielson, followed by promo Brian Danielson.
Backstage promo Brian Danielson.
Is no one checking this? What's on first? Promo Brian Danielson. And second, promo Brian Danielson. Oh, that can't be right.
I'll say this much. Going in, when they first started, everybody was like, they're not going to let this Tony Khan guy in charge, are they? He doesn't know what he's doing. And then it was a bit messy to start with. And then the second he was like, no, it's all going through me now. It was like, oh, okay, it's pretty good now.
You have to have that. You have to have the person. And the difference
the
is...
The buck stops here. Yeah.
You have to have the person at the top with the singular vision for what's going to happen, who has a full overview of everything. So he knows that Miro wants to do a backstage segment at an arcade. So he knows then that later on, Kenny can't do a backstage segment at an arcade because we've already got one.
Yeah.
And you have to have that. But what you can't have is one guy at the top who doesn't know what he wants to happen and doesn't care what all the segments are, just being in charge.
Yeah.
Because that's ludicrous.
I think that's what people thought was going to happen. And obviously, Tony Khan obviously knows his shit about wrestling, but does he know how to book stuff? But, it seems to be the case that he does, because
as it turns out, I would say for the most part, yes, he does.
Yeah. So those things happened. Pretty decent little backstage. The JR interview was stronger than the other part, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you that should have been switched over.
Yeah.
It would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, decent segment. So that was all good. Then we get Dante Martin and Matt Sydal thrown together tag team of the week versus FTR. Decent little match. FTR get their segment get the match, to win the match. But they keep throwing Dante Martin out there, and I think they're pegging him for something pretty big in the future. He's doing
a lot.
The shit he's doing looks crazy as well. And it's not even just like his offense and dives and stuff like that. Look what he did for Will Hobbs that week.
Match with Will Hobbs was fucking class.
Caught him by the neck and chucked him into the ring post. And, that was, a little bit Will Hobbs, but it was mainly Dante Martin going, oh, I'll do this and you'll look badass. And that's the sort of thing that gets you noticed by people.
That whole match was great.
Yeah.
Like that, I hadn't previously given a shit about Will Hobbs because he only wrestles on YouTube. But he come out on Raw. On fucking Raw. He came out on Dynamite, and he wrestled a match against another YouTube guy, essentially.
Yeah.
So they put on a dark match. It was fucking brilliant. And it made you give a shit about Will Hobbs, who's ranked. He's like 3rd or 4th ranked.
Yeah.
and it makes you continue to give a shit about Dante Martin because of how they've presented him before.
Yeah, even if he's losing every match, he's still doing something that makes you go, what?
And he is a much lower down guy, Dante Martin, but the presentation of him the last 3 or 4 weeks made that when he wrestled Will Hobbs, who's higher up in the card, strictly speaking, putting them two together made him look great, made him seem much more important.
Absolutely.
And it was just a really good match.
Yeah, very good. This match, again, I don't know whether or not they're going to continue with this Matt Sydal thing, because obviously I know that he's got a brother that he was tag teaming with and everything like that. But...
Yeah, that was weird that they were tagging. It makes no sense. I know. I think the FTR needs some wins.
Yeah.
Because they lost the P&P feud, but like I don't know if thrown together tag team of the week is the way to do it.
I mean, if they put them together again down the line, let's. I mean, I'd watch the shit out of those two if they actually went with them as a tag team. But yeah, it's just ever since the Punk debut, they've been chucking the odd one of these matches. You go, oh, that's something that'd normally be on Dark, or a talent that'd normally be on Dark. They've had Will Hobbs's stock has gone through the roof, obviously with the Punk thing this week, and prior. Dante Martin's on every week. They are putting people in there who don't normally get the experience, and they're good at cycling through the talent, so you don't get fed up of people and that sort of thing. So
yeah, it is a good system. Ricky Starks hasn't wrestled for a little while.
Yeah.
He won the FTW title, and then he fucked off. And you still see him. He still knocks about, but he's not currently doing anything. You don't forget about him because they keep him sort of around, and you know that eventually he'll come back and do something massive.
I think people have been so used to the way that WWE book things over the years that when they do stuff like that, they go, "Oh, where's he gone? Oh no!" And it's okay if they disappear for a bit. If anything, that's better because when they do come back, they're not going to get injured because they've been on the road wrestling every 12 times a week and that sort of shit. So. Yeah.
Well, we're all so conditioned for the last 20 years, however long, that when someone is suddenly off TV, they're like, that's it. They might not come back.
Yeah, because Vince is punishing them for some transgression or some other weird shit that he likes to do.
So you're not telling 9 months with a different name and a pink T-shirt on.
Yeah.
So you can't trust it.
Yeah, but
Ricky Starks will come back, and he'll still be Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
And he'll have the title and stuff on him, and I'm just thankful that he's not wrestling Brian Cage again.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like that's where they were going with it, and that match they had was really weird, and they just don't click in the ring.
I think they need to. Ricky Starks was still somewhat injured, from what I understand. I think the reason why they have put the sort of brakes on and they're just sort of keeping it going with video packages is because he's still not 100% and where he needs to be. But yeah, FTR get the win on that one. I enjoyed it. Decent match. Then we cut to Punk actually addressing on commentary this Suzuki incident, as they call it, because Minoru Suzuki's music got cut last week.
The stupidest shit I ever heard.
I mean, everybody on the internet was having a right piss and moan about it, but I must admit that when I was watching it, it was literally just about to get to the bit where they do it, and then Moxley's music started. I was like, "Oh, people are not going to be happy about that." And what do you know? I was right. So.
I didn't even notice.
So they address that, and then we get the backstage promo with Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer.
I've got a lot of time for that.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
A lot of time for that.
And then they throw in the NJPW footage of them tagging in the past and stuff like that. Put some.
I really dig Lance Archer, and I feel like he's the first victim of the AEW shuffle. So he was 8th. But then someone bigger came in, and now he's 9th.
Yeah.
And then someone bigger came in, and now he's 10th. And he just keeps getting further and further down the card. I said a couple of weeks ago, everyone's going on about how, Punk's big debut and Adam Cole's big debut and everything. But you have to remember, when you watch Lance Archer wrestling Johnny Greendick on Dark, that one day Lance Archer was the big signing.
Yeah.
And
that's it.
Now what's he doing?
The thing is, Archer...
I really dig him. I think he was great in Killer Elite Squad with
Davey Boy Smith. Yeah,
it was fucking brilliant. I think he came in really well, and I love that they gave him Jake Roberts, but they're just doing nothing with him.
You loved that match he had with Moxley, didn't you? In New Japan, that crazy street fighty thing that they did at Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, when he came out with that weird German hat on. I think.
Yeah, super into that.
Lance Archer, he needs some sort of. The thing is with Lance Archer is I don't see him as world title material, but at the same time he's too massive to be like a mid card or a lower card kind of guy. So he sits in a weird sort of area. He needs to be like the enforcer of AEW or something like that. So you can just come in, go, wag his finger at a heel, chuck him through something, and then he's like 911 was in ECW. I don't know if you know that reference. Yeah, just comes out, batters some people, pisses off. That's his. He needs to find something in that niche because, like I say, if he's going to tag with Minoru Suzuki going forward, shit up. I'm all about it. But how long are they going to be able to keep Suzuki around for this? And
that's the problem. He sort of needs to occupy a heel Luchasaurus sort of position.
Yeah, that's a cracking way of putting it. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we got that. Then we got Malachi Black versus Rosario Dawson with Cody. And
weird.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I get it. He came out, he started cutting a promo on Cody and the fans and all that sort of stuff, but then he's like, oh, Rosario Dawson's here also. And she's doing that Go Big Show thing with Cody and that.
Doesn't really work there.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he's had a lot of random stuff turn up and like fall into his lap. He's got that reality show, and he's got he's been less and less the face of the company though, which is really weird.
Yeah.
He really was.
Because he's not fucking there.
Yeah, I mean he's just had a kid and that as well, hasn't he? So it's probably shit like that as well. But yeah, it just continues the feud until it gives it something to do until next week. So it built that up a bit more.
Well, that feud has been tepid as fuck because he beat Cody, so Cody disappeared, and then he had to fight a load of factory Nightmare Family dudes, which no one cares about that. And now he fights Cody again, but he's just been doing nothing for like 3 or 4 weeks as Malachi Black's importance got less and less as he fought less and less impressive and high up the card guys. And now he's back up to Cody again, but it's too late now because now I only care this much.
I mean,
you presented him here, and then you presented him here, and now this is how much I care about him.
I mean, at this point, what I want them to do is, I would not be mad at all if Cody's all big bollocks, all fired up and all that sort of thing, and he goes out at Thrash and he gets his ass handed to him again. That's what I want to happen. Because to be honest, at this point, I think Cody should turn heel. I don't see. If he's not going to be the face of the company, the happy, smiling, shaking the hands person, and that sort of thing. I mean, he's been through a lot of the heel roster facing those guys and that sort of thing. He needs to turn heel, or he needs to actually have some big matches. Because people are forgetting that Cody, even though he's obviously involved in this big feud with Aleister Black and everything at the minute, it's been a long time since they've put Cody in that place. They tried it with that Anthony Ogogo, and that went fucking nowhere.
Because he was green as grass.
Well, that and USA versus the UK, that's not a feud. You can't. No, that's not how it works.
It's not 1982.
We're not the evil foreigners. We're your mates. We speak the same language as you. We're not the evil Russians, and you'll never get anybody to buy into that. I'm just sorry. It was stupid. That was a really weird thing. But yeah, they need to get back to big match Cody. I think
if he turns heel, it would be good for him, but ultimately bad because everyone in AEW is a heel.
Yeah, I suppose.
So both the champions, world champion, TNT champion, the women's champion, and up until very recently, the tag team champions. Everybody was heels.
Okay, well, I mean, if he doesn't turn heel, then he needs to go back. Because, I mean, right in the middle of the card, that used to be his position. Right in the middle, big featured match, Cody Rhodes match.
Well, he just
in
needs
the middle.
to have some feuds
that
aren't with QT Marshall. That would be lovely.
Yeah, or, I mean, I think, if anything, the debut in Malachi Black was just a bit too big of a thing for him to be part of, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Then we get Dark Order having an argument backstage in a little backstage segments. Again, I quite like all that stuff that they're doing at the minute. I know where it's going to be headed. Hopefully Hangman It's going to bring them all back together again. That would be
Yeah.
great when that happens. But, they're sowing the seeds for it. That's all been good. Then we get Men of the Year with, is it Dan Lambert, the top team guy?
Dan Lambert, yeah.
He's a fucking hell of a promo. I'll give him that. Jesus.
He's very good.
He's very good.
I thought that when he did his very first promo. It's like, oh, this is some outside guy. He's going to come in and get everyone's names wrong, and it's going to be fucking appalling.
And it
wasn't.
Woof.
Fucking knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the thing that he's doing isn't going anywhere, and it's boring and shit. But he's doing it well.
If the only thing I wish he'd do is I wish he'd stop. And we know that he's the top team guy now. They did that. They had the MMA guys in there with him. He doesn't need those guys now because the Men of the Year people are there. The other guys standing around, if they're not actually going to get involved in it, which I honestly don't think they're going to, then they need to sack those other guys off and stop having them stand in the ring with him. Just those two guys need to be with him.
Well, Jericho cut a promo on all the MMA guys who he isn't going to be wrestling.
Yes.
While the two people that he is going to be wrestling stood there and did and said nothing.
Yeah,
And weren't referred to, and no one mentioned them until the end. He's like, so I'm sick of all you MMA guys, and as a result, I challenge those two to a match.
Yeah.
So, but they're not. How's that related?
Bit weird. Decent segment. Jericho got called out for making homophobic jokes online.
Yeah, it was just stupid.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't go as far as to say it was offensive or anything, but don't shoot the messenger.
It was just a stupid thing to say. It wasn't a good joke.
No.
And it was too juvenile for the level that, like, if it was on Raw, you'd be like, fucking of course they would.
Yeah.
But if you expect more from AEW, and it was a bad taste.
It was
a
very Raw-y segment, wasn't it? Then we get a hilarious Gun Club of Heels now promo backstage. I quite enjoyed that. I was like, Gaz is going to be loving this.
Do you know what? It wasn't a bad promo.
No, the promo itself was fine.
From their point of view, it makes sense, but they turned heel like 2 weeks ago.
And they've not been seen since.
They just fucked off. And they turned heel against Big Show, which super who cares. And it wasn't to put over the Guns. It was Billy Gunn versus Big Show, which is a match that I didn't care about 25 years ago.
I was just going to say, it's Raw in 1997, my time machine works.
They did a thing that I didn't care about at the end of a match that I didn't care about between two people that I didn't care about. And it makes it really difficult to even begin to try to give a shit.
Yeah. So that happened. Layla Hirsch versus Jade Cargill was next. Decent women's match. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was good. I think Layla Hirsch is really good. She's still very new, but
she is very new.
She apparently had a great match in the NWA.
Yes, yeah, that match she had against her. I've not seen it, but I heard it was good. But yeah, I was surprised that that was a really good move. That was to give Layla Hirsch that. Oh shit! This is the first person who's really took Jade Cargill beyond like a couple of minutes match.
Yeah.
Like got some shit in. Like really got some shit in. Made you think, oh shit, are they actually gonna? Did a good job of keeping the suspense up, because going in I was like, oh, this is gonna be over in like 2 minutes.
They made the both look really good as well, and Jade is obviously someone that they think quite highly of, and that they want to put into a prominent position, but they can't at the minute because, as I say, the women's champion is a heel.
Yeah.
And Jade is a heel, so
you
can't. She's not going to be doing that, so she needs to find something else to do in the meantime, and keep sticking her on dark isn't going to get her over. She has to be on TV.
Yeah, but not only that, she did well to sort of keep up with that Layla Hirsch's offense and what she was doing as well. And I mean, they stood in the ring next to each other at the beginning, and like she's looking up at her like that, and Jade Cargill was looking down at her like that. I was like, for them to show that disparity in height, but then not have her murder her because she's way taller than her straight away. That's great, I really enjoyed that. Got a kick out of that.
It was a lot of fun, that one. It was a good match.
Good match. Andrade, backstage promo, talks about kicking Chavo out on Rampage last week in that match he had with Pac.
Yeah, he's just knackering through managers, isn't he?
Just burning through matches, managers even, rather. I thought this was going to be leading to Ric Flair being his manager, but after this week's edition of Dark Side of the Ring, maybe not so much. Darby versus Spears, not bad.
Who cares? Sean Spears is made of nothing. The Pinnacle is a massive wet fart that came in all big numbers, but it was made up of people who don't do anything, and then they don't go anywhere near each other, and no one mentions the Pinnacle. And I thought until this week that they'd just quietly broken them up, because MJF's doing a different thing, doesn't talk about the Pinnacle. Yeah. They don't come out with him. Sean Spears doesn't come out with
even the Inner Circle FTR. Have sort of disbanded a bit after all that business, haven't they?
No one's anywhere near each other, and it's weird.
I enjoyed the post-match beatdown, removal of the face paint and all that. I thought that was pretty good, building to the match.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. And that's where the Pinnacle came back in again, and you can see that those three guys are going to be feuding with Darby Allin and Sting and somebody else.
That's pretty cool.
I've got no problem with that.
They've done a good job of moving on to new stuff now. Thingy's over. We're not just getting a retread of that for the next couple of months or anything like that. All Out's ended. Here's some new things now. Good.
They did a very good job this week. Less so on Rampage, but just setting up what's coming, what the next things are going to be.
Yeah. And Bryan Danielson challenges Kenny Omega to a match. They were very careful to make sure that they didn't mention that it was any sort of title match or anything, which it isn't. I believe it's just a massive, massive match for Wednesday's Dynamite, which I am massively looking forward to.
It's going to be great.
I reckon they'll give them time as well. They give them the last 45 minutes of that show, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I'd be surprised if
not longer.
That would make sense actually as to why Rampage is 2 hours, because they'll have a lot of stuff that would ordinarily have gone on Dynamite.
Yeah.
That they've had to sort of carve some time out for.
If they make that a 30-minute time limit and it goes to 30 minutes, I don't think you hear any complaints out of anybody having to withdraw.
Way of doing it.
Yeah. So that happened. Then we get Mox versus Kingston versus Mox and Kingston versus 2.0. Decent match. It was mainly to blow off them feuding with 2.0, but then to move on to this Archer and Suzuki because they attacked after the bell. Decent match, decent angle advancement. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, perfectly fine. 2.0 have been used really well, I think.
Yeah. They've done great. They just chuck them right at the top of the pile. Here you go. Because they're good on the mic, they're a good promo backstage, and they're good heels, and they take an ass whipping really, really well. So.
Well, they can take bumps for themselves, but they can take bumps for Daniel Garcia, who also is another guy that they obviously clearly want to do something with.
Yeah.
But they don't want him taking losses left and right.
That's it.
So they stick him with these two. Eventually he can batter them because he's sick of them and move off on his own. But for the meantime, all three of them I think have been used brilliantly since they came in.
Yeah. So that was Dynamite. Rampage. We won't go over all of Rampage then, but Rampage was a decent.
There's no need.
It was a decent watch, but it wasn't anything. It was a throwaway episode of Rampage.
It doesn't really happen. I mean, if your opening match of Rampage was Lucha Brothers versus Butcher and Blade, and I understand why the Lucha Brothers need that match because they're the new champions and they need a win just to show that they're strong still.
Yeah.
But Butcher and Blade are the number one ranked tag team, and they haven't wrestled a match together
in ages
for 5 months.
Yeah,
because one of them was injured. But how are they so high? They didn't lose any matches before, and then they didn't do anything for 5 months, and they won a couple on YouTube, and now they're number one.
I think they had a lot of wins earlier in the year when they were a team. I think that was the explanation for that. But
there's got to be some sort of provision for if you're off TV for 5 months. Like, how can you possibly stay that high up?
Yeah.
Because you're not winning matches, you're not losing them because you're not having any.
Yeah.
So you should drift back down again as other teams surpass you. The fact that no other teams knock them off the list in 5 months means that something's gone wrong there.
Yeah. Then you got DMD and Thingy, Ruby, formerly Ruby Riott, Ruby Soho. That was a really good promo duel. I enjoyed that.
It was great.
Yeah, really good.
Both of them looked really good. It was really nice to see the difference between the two. So the problem with a lot of AEW in the women's division is they present all the women the same. It's like, here they all are. Here are some women.
Yeah.
But Ruby Soho brings something totally different.
Yeah.
To any of the other women that they have, and standing next to Britt Baker, who's obviously like the prototype of their women's division.
Yeah.
It just shows that the two of them, they've got quite good chemistry, promos wise. But it just shows what sort of match that's going to be, and it shows a different level to the AEW Women's Division, such as it is.
And it's the first time I can remember them giving that sort of segment to the women as well, which was good.
Yeah, they don't give enough segments.
They keep doing stuff like that. It's going to get better. I forget what was the other matches on Rampage.
Anna Jay versus the Bunny.
Yeah.
Just to sort of further that, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
It was a Rampage match.
What was the main event?
The main event was... Hang on.
The...
Oh, it was Miro versus Fuego
Oh,
del
of course.
Sol
Yeah.
For Fuego's car.
Fuego's car, which he let him keep anyway. So
He fucking kept.
after moaning about him getting the TNT, the contract after he lost that match, he then threw away the other stipulation. So, whose fault's that other than Miro's?
I'm super annoyed about this.
That's why I brought it up, because I knew you were super annoyed about it.
I don't want to go on about it, because I've been talking about it for like a month. But in his Rampage match, Fuego del Sol, the match was wrestle Miro. If you beat Miro, you win a contract. He didn't beat him,
no.
But he still got the contract.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense. And this week he said, I wrestle Miro, and if I lose, Miro gets to keep my car. And he lost, and Miro didn't keep the car.
Yeah.
So he keeps losing matches and winning the prize. And they've done it fucking twice now, and I'm starting to think that they're doing it to aggravate me.
Is it Fuego del Sol's gimmick is that even though he loses, he wins forever?
He always wins whatever the prize is. That's why he keeps putting prizes up. Like he put his car up because he knows, regardless, he's going to get to keep it.
He fails upwards. He's the Boris Johnson of AEW.
Yeah, it winds me up because it doesn't make sense.
Right, very quickly, your thoughts on NXT 2.0 before we head out.
Yeah, it's not going to take long. We can finish on this.
Yeah.
The staging, if you've seen the stage, looks really good.
Do you think? I disagree massively. No.
I dig it. I don't like the colours and stuff.
No.
They've got the ring in the middle there, but instead of having the square barrier, they've got it as like a circle, like an arena type barrier around it, which gives you a lot more space outside the ring to play with. And all the seats, rather than having like opaque barriers or having a load of like logos and stuff all over, it's just clear perspex.
Yeah.
And they go up to the side of the ramp, like when they do shows at MSG.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
where the bleachers sort of go up, and then the talent comes through the middle. And like there's a big sort of tube that they come out of. I've got time for that. I've got no problem with that at all.
The NX Tube?
Yes, the NX Tube .0.
NX Tube .0.
So I like the actual arena. And the way they've staged the arena is a cool looking arena. It looks different from all the other WWE product stuff.
Yeah.
And I like it. Beyond that, you don't have to watch it.
No.
Every single match was, barring the main event, was someone you don't know versus someone you do know. And that was it. It was like Dark.
I was going to say it's Dark Elevation, isn't it, that?
Basically, yeah. And that's what they want it to be. I understand why they've done that. Because that's what they wanted it to be in the first place.
Nobody else wants it to be that, is my point. No.
They want it to be, here's some guy who's never wrestled 5 minutes in his life, versus someone who is a wrestler. They'll have a match, this guy will get gradually better, and then we can send him to Raw to get pinned by the people that we've been pushing for the last 10 years. And that's what they want. They just want people to chuck into the grinder, and they'll get it by doing this, but it won't be an entertaining program.
They lost me before the show even started when I read on Twitter that they changed Rex Steiner's name to Bron Breakker. Bron isn't even a name. Well,
the Bron part is the part I object to the least.
I object to that way more. Oh,
his name's Bronson.
But nobody calls people who are called Bronson Bron.
But at the very least, it's short for his actual name.
Okay.
Breaker with 2 Ks, you don't even pronounce one of the Ks. Why is it in there? It's not doing anything for anyone. It's just pronounced Breaker, like normal.
Yeah, but my son's name is Zach, and that's spelled with 2 Ks.
So my name's Gaz, and it's spelled with 2 Zs.
Yeah.
But it aggravates people, I understand.
Gaz understands the aggravation. Right.
I get it. I don't have to like it.
Doesn't have to like it. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of WrestleChats. We're going to try and do this on a weekly basis. We're all grown-ups. We've got things to do.
We got lives. We are well into our late 30s.
Oh yeah, way into them. We're married. We've got other shit going off. We've got lives.
Fucking bills to pay.
Well, yeah, for real. We will get to it. We'll be back for all of the 12 people who've watched us so far. But
hey, thanks very much.
Yeah, cheers. Like and subscribe. Yeah, going forward, we'll try and get on this on a Sunday or a Monday. Have them up for Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll keep you posted on that situation. But that's it for WrestleChats this week. I'll see you later. Safe.
Oh, you should go to the WrestleChaps Twitter.
Oh yeah, at WChaps on Twitter.
There you go.
At It's Me GTW, it's on the screen, and my at Lamco64. But yeah, that's it for WrestleChats this week. See you later. Peace.